Children, uh, we'll continue chapter number 11, that is sense organs. So in the last session we had a talk about the structure of human eye, where we found the number of parts is shown there in the diagram. Okay, we even tried to discuss all about the functions of all the parts shown here in the diagram. All right, so today we'll start with this point: how do we see? How do we see, or how is image formed there in the eye? Okay, so to see an object, there are 4 points. Okay, there are 4 points to go through so that the image is formed, so that we understand that how image is formed. All right, so there are 4 points, as I said. So what are those 4 points? Number one, entry of light rays. Number one, entry of light rays. Number two, focusing of image. Number three, transmission of nerve impulse from retina to brain. And number fourth is interpretation by the brain. Okay, so what they are, let me tell you in detail now. See, entry of light rays, that means light from an object. That means what object you are looking at. Okay, so light from that object, passes through the number of transparent structure of the eye, which you have discussed before. Like this, you see conjunctiva, as you see here, which is a thin membrane covering the frontal part of the eye that we have discussed in the last session. So through conjunctiva, that light passes to the cornea, as you see here, cornea. Okay, so from cornea it goes to aqueous humor here. Okay, watery fluid substance you find out here in the chamber here. So that is called aqueous humor. From aqueous humor it goes to the lens. Okay, and from lens it goes to the vitreous humor. So that way the light from an object passes through these transparent structures of the eye. Okay, number 1 point. Then number 2 point is your focusing of image. Focusing of image, which means you see the curvature of this cornea. Okay, the curvature of cornea converges the light rays to some extent from here to here. To some extent means from cornea to this lens. That means the light rays, the number of rays of the light coming from the object, okay, will be converged. Means what actually, actually it means is that you see the number of rays, move to meet at one point. So that is called converge. Okay, so that means they converge to some extent. Now cornea makes those light rays converge to some extent, means to some extent means up to lens, and from lens again, those light rays are further converged to meet at one point. So here at one point means here at the retina they all meet again. Okay, that way the light rays will be converged to meet at one point of retina here. So that way there on retina the image is formed. Okay, the image formed on retina is inverted and real. Inverted means upside down. Okay, upside down. So this is my upright position, but when I stand out here with my head, that is inverted. So that inverted image is formed out here on the retina. So that is your focusing of image. All right, then third one is that transmission of nerve impulse from retina to brain. So here in retina the image is formed already there, but it is inverted. All right, then this retina, as you have already discussed, that is formed of number of sensitive cells or sensory cells, rod cells and cone cells, which you have discussed in the last session. So those sensory cells convert the image formed out here into the nerve impulse. Okay, convert the image formed out here into nerve impulse, and that nerve impulse of the image will be taken to the optic nerve. From optic nerve, or this optic nerve will take that nerve impulse to the visual region of the cerebrum of the brain. Okay, it will be ultimately sent to the cerebrum. Which part of the cerebrum? The place where the visual is formed, that means visual region of the cerebrum, it will be taken to. Okay, then there what happens is that number 4, interpretation by the brain. Then there, it will interpret the nerve impulse. Now whatever the image was formed out here will be taken or will be received by the brain in the form of that nerve impulse. Then the actual image is formed. That means actual image means out here what you have to understand is that suppose the image was out here inverted, but here the image will be formed upright. That means the actual image is formed there in the brain itself. Okay, so this is how we can see an object. So for understanding this, we need to know these 4 points in this sequence. Okay, so this is how we see an object. Now the point that you have to know is accommodation here. Okay, so accommodation means seeing objects in sharp focus. Okay, so to see objects clearly, okay, its image should be in sharp focus in both the eyes. Okay, so the process of focusing the eyes to see objects at different distance is called accommodation. Okay, and this is mainly brought about by the change in the shape of the lens. Okay, this accommodation is mainly brought about by the change in the shape of this lens, which is in fact controlled by the circular ciliary muscle there. Okay, so this circular ciliary muscles makes this lens change its shape as per the need. Okay, as per the need. So that way sometimes it becomes thinner, sometimes it becomes fatter as per the distance of the objects that we are looking at. Alright, so this alteration in the shape of this lens, as I've told you, is controlled by this ciliary muscle. Alright, so if the object is close by, which means nearer than say 6 meters. So in that case, what happens is that your lens becomes fatter. It becomes fatter or it becomes more convex. Okay, when the object is close by, nearer than the 6 meters, then it becomes fatter or more convex. All right. Whereas if the objects which are farther than 6 meters, which are at distant places, that means which are more than 6 meters away from you, so in that case what happens that your lens will be thinner. Okay, it will be what? Thinner. So this accommodation, this change in the shape of this lens brings about some arrangement in your eyes so that you can see the objects of different distances. So that is called accommodation. Alright, and as I've told you, so this change in the shape of this one is mainly controlled by the muscles present out there called ciliary muscles. Okay, now the next point we have is adaptations. Okay, so adaptations means out here adjustment of ourselves in different places. Okay, different places means sometimes in dark place, sometimes in brightly lighted place. Okay, so how we adjust there, especially how our eyes function that time, that mechanism which makes us able to see in such situation is called adaptation here. Okay, that adaptation we are talking about here. Okay, that adaptation we are talking about. See, this is of 2 types, that is dark adaptation and light adaptation. Okay, so dark adaptation. So dark adaptation means how your eyes adjust to to improve your vision in the dark place when you all of a sudden go from the brightly lighted area. That means it's like this. Brightly lighted area to dark place. Okay, that is called, that adjustment is your dark adaptation. For example, you see, when you are all of a sudden going from the brightly lighted area to the dark place where there is no light. So for a while, it will be very difficult for you to see the objects. You'll be almost like a blind. Okay, then after some time, your vision is improved. Your vision will be improved. Okay, you will again start seeing the objects. All right. So this adjustment here, while coming from the brightly lighted area to the dark area, is called, dark adaptation. And this dark adaptation mainly take place because of two reasons. There are 2 points that you have to understand how it happens, so how the dark adaptation take place. Number one, you see rhodopsin. Rhodopsin is the pigment of rod cells. Rod cells is what out here? Is a type of sensory cell of retina. As we discussed in the last session, there are 2 types of sensory cells that you find there in retina. They are rod cells and other one is your cone cells. So rod cells are sensitive to dim light, okay, whereas your cone cells are sensitive to your bright light. Okay, so these rod cells contain the pigment called rhodopsin. All right, so here in that adjustment, okay, or in this adaptation, what happens is that regeneration of this rhodopsin takes place. Regeneration of what? Rhodopsin takes place, which were broken down during the time when you are there in the brightly lighted area. That means when you are there in the brightly lighted area, that time that rhodopsins were broken down. Now when you entered there in the dark place, this rhodopsins now got regenerated. For regeneration, it takes little bit of time, so that you will slowly adjust there. You will slowly gain your vision. All right, number 1 point. Number 2, that your pupil of the eye. Pupil means which one? You see here. Suppose this is your conjunctiva, cornea. Okay, then you find the iris, which you have discussed there before. All right. So here is the lens. Suppose this is the lens here. All right. So here is the point called pupil. All right. So there in the dim light, there in the dark place, what happens that your pupil, this pupil will now dilate. Okay. The dilation of the pupil take place out there, so that more light is entered. So these are the 2 points which make you regain your vision, or which make you improve your vision there in the dark place also. And this adaptation is called dark adaptation. The other type of adaptation is your light adaptation. Just reverse to this. Okay, just opposite to this, the other adaptation is there called light adaptation. In this adaptation, what happens is that, see, for example, dark place to that you're brightly lighted place. Just opposite to this here. You must be experienced to this particular situation. That, see, when you are in the dark place, then from dark place you are suddenly going to the brightly lighted place. So that time what happens is that you'll experience a dazzling condition out there. Okay, extremely bright. So you happen to close your eyes, you cannot see properly. You cannot open your eyes also. You happen to close your eyes. Okay, at that time. So why it is? It is because of extremely brightness which you find there when you all of a sudden come from dark place to that brightly lighted place. Okay, so then slowly you will again improve your vision. You will adjust there. Okay, so that adjustment now there in the lighted area or brightly lighted area is called light adaptation. So this also takes place by the same two, by the two points itself, like that. Okay, that also happens because of the 2 points, because of two reasons there again. Okay, what is that? You see, these rhodopsins, okay, these rhodopsins which were functioning there in the dark place, okay, so that rhodopsins now get bleached when you suddenly come out of that place to the brightly lighted area, so that your rhodopsins get bleached, all right, and lose its sensitivity, because these rhodopsins are not sensitive to bright light. They are sensitive to dark light only, dim light only. So that as soon as you come to the brightly lighted area, then rhodopsins get bleached and slowly lose their sensitivity to the light. Okay, number one. And number 2 point is that your pupil, as I was talking about this pupil, now this pupil slowly constricts. Okay, so that less amount of light enters. Okay, when it is in dark, it is dilated so that more light enters, and when it is in brightly, in the brightly lighted area, so there your pupil get constricted so that less light enters. So that way, you will adjust there in the light, in the brightly lighted area after some time when you all of a sudden come from the dark place. So this is called light adaptation. Okay, we'll see common defects of the eye. Okay, there are many defects of the eye, but they're in syllabus 4-5 such defects are there. We'll start with near or short-sightedness or myopia. Okay, near or short-sightedness or myopia. So in this condition, what happens is that we can see near objects clearly, but distant objects cannot be seen clearly. Okay, the distant objects are seen blurred. Okay, so that's because of mainly 2 reasons. They are, this eyeball is lengthened. Okay, eyeball is lengthened from front to back, number 1, and number 2 is that this lens is too curved. Okay, it is too curved. So because of these 2 reasons, this near or short-sightedness or myopia takes place. Okay, so in this case, what happens is that you see the light coming from here. Okay, coming from the object, the light rays, okay, coming from the object will make an image in front of this, retina. Not on the retina, but in front of the retina, the image is formed. Okay, so not on the retina. It should be made on the retina, but it forms just in front of the retina. Okay, so that the near objects can be seen clearly, but distant objects are seen blurred. Okay, and this problem can be corrected by wearing concave lens. Okay, this is a concave lens. So what does this concave lens do out here is that you see the light rays, okay, coming from the object will first diverge like this. Okay, will first diverge before it strikes the lens. Before these rays strike the lens, it first diverges. Okay, then it will again converge and makes a clear image on the retina like this. Okay, so that by wearing this concave lens, we can correct this near or short-sightedness or myopia. Okay, then other one is that just opposite to this, that is far or long-sightedness or hyperopia, or it is also called hypermetropia. Please try to know them, try to understand them by all these different names. Okay, per or long sightedness, or hyperopia, or hypermetropia. Okay, so in this condition, what actually happens is that you see just opposite to this. That means we can see the distant objects clearly, but near objects are seen blurred if this problem is there. So this is also caused mainly because of two reasons. Number one is two reasons. Okay, number one is that this eyeball is, shortening of this eyeball. Okay, shortening of this eyeball from front to back. Number one. Number two is that this eyeball is too, flat. Okay, in this case it was too curved, but here in this case it is too too flat. That's why this your long sightedness or hyperopia or hypermetropia takes place. Okay, so because of that, because of this shortening of this this your eyeball from front to back, the image is formed behind the retina. It should be formed on the retina, but instead of that it is formed, or it forms the image behind the retina. Okay, so that problem occurs, and in order to correct that problem we need to wear convex lens. What we need to wear? Convex lens. Okay, so convex lens, once we wear convex lens, then what happens that the light rays coming from the object will be converged here like this. Okay, and make them have the image formed on retina. Okay, so that way this problem can also be corrected. All right, other three common defects of the eye that you have got there in syllabus are astigmatism, presbyopia, and cataract. Okay, so here in this case the diagrams are not needed. Okay, so number one is astigmatism. So astigmatism is a condition in which what happens is that some parts of the objects are clearly seen. Okay, they are seen in focus, whereas other parts are seen blurred. That is because of the uneven curvature of cornea. Okay, so cornea means that which you have discussed before in the last session itself. Okay, so there we have discussed so that cornea is sometimes unevenly curved, because of which this problem occurs. Alright, and these problems can be corrected by wearing cylindrical lens. Okay, cylindrical lens. Then the fourth point that we have got is your presbyopia. Okay, so presbyopia is usually seen in older people. Okay, older people can't see the near objects clearly. Okay, because of the loss of flexibility of lens. Okay, lens that we have discussed, because that lens has to be flexible, because this lens keeps changing its shape to see the objects of the different distances. Okay, but once you grow older, then what happens that the flexibility of that lens sometimes is lost. Consequently, this presbyopia takes place where the near objects are seen blurred, cannot be seen clearly. Okay, so this problem can be corrected by wearing convex lens again. Okay, convex lens. Then the last one that we have got is cataract. So cataract is a disease. Let us say it's a disease because of the problem there in the lens. That means lens become completely opaque. It becomes opaque, leading to poor vision. Sometimes it leads to a complete blindness also. So this cataract can be treated or can be removed by treated by removing surgically. Okay, by surgically removing this cataract, it can be treated, or by wearing highly convex lens also you can treat this problem called cataract. Okay, usually it is surgically removed, so that way this problem can be corrected. So these are the common defects of the eye that you have got there in the syllabus. There are others also like night blindness and some others also there, but they are all not there in syllabus. But these are the syllabus, I mean the defects of the eye which are put in our syllabus. So this is how we conclude the eye from this sense organ, okay, from this chapter called sense organs. So in the next session we'll be talking about the other sense organ that we have got there in syllabus, that is ear. Okay, so that much for today. Thank you very much.